This episode of the WP Builds podcast is brought to you by GoDaddy Pro, the home of managed WordPress hosting that includes free domain, SSL, and 24/7 support. Bundle that with the Hub by GoDaddy Pro to unlock more free benefits to manage multiple sites in one place, invoice clients, and get 30% off new purchases. Find out more at go.me/WP Builds. Hey. Yeah, let's do that. Let's share. Let's do our hands. How you doing, Piccia? Look, it's Piccia. There she is, right there, next to me. Well, she's not. I wish she was. But
I
unfortunately, there's probably
know.
about
I know.
1,000 miles between me and you over there.
And about 30 degrees, I think. My
Oh,
feet are
yeah.
currently
Yeah.
boiling. I've got
Minus, do you want to know?
sun choice.
-7 today.
Oh my God. I had lunch on the water and it was so hot. I had to take my jumper off. And right now I've got afternoon sun streaming in through the French door and it's boiling my feet.
Well, thank
I
you
know,
for
I'm
joining us
sorry.
on the show today, Piccia. That'll be it. We've there's no more to come. I'm totally jealous. That's lovely. Actually, do you know what? I know it's apropos of nothing, but I like the seasons we get. I do like the fact that it gets really cold in the winter and it never gets hot.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's something nice
Yeah.
about it.
Funny enough, I miss the winter. I've been very grateful because the past 10 days have been a bit grey and a bit colder than usual, and I've loved every second of it.
Oh, great. Yeah, we get that. We've had 10 years of grey and miserable.
I mean, there are limits. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Those limits are called the United Kingdom. But that's not what we're here to talk about. The weather
No,
is
although
nothing to
we
do
could
with.
carry on.
We could do this all day. We're here to talk about UI and UX. If you're joining us live, thank you very much. I can see Babs Saul is. Hi there, Babs. How are you doing? She says
Yes,
great to be here
hello, Bob.
again. Piccia and Nathan have got. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's kind of you. So if you like Piccia, like Babs would like to make a comment, that would be lovely. Please feel free to do that. There's a few bits and pieces surrounding that. It's probably easiest if I just explain it this way. The place where we broadcast this live is wpbuilds.com/live. That's the best place to go. You can comment with YouTube comments on the right, so you need to be logged into a Google account. If you're on a mobile, it'll be underneath. But also inside the video, buried in the video, top right, it says live chat, and you can use that, and you don't need to be logged into anything. And if you're joining us from Facebook, go to this URL, wave.video/lives/Facebook. Otherwise, we don't know who you are. You just come through as an anonymous icon, which is fine. But you might like to not be anonymous entirely. Up to you. Yeah, so there we go. That's the housekeeping done. What have we got set up for this week, month, Piccia?
Oh, we've got lots of fun stuff.
Nice.
Lots of. So I decided, I mean, because we'd planned to do one of these shows before Christmas,
That's right,
but
yeah.
I got like horribly sick, as can happen in the winter, and we didn't do it. And at the time, there was one really hot topic, which
Oh,
was, yeah, a rebrand. I mean, you mentioned it in last Monday, and I was like, "Oh, no,
okay.
don't say too much, please, because that's
Okay.
the topic." So it was the rebrand, the really quite radical overhaul of the Kinsta brand.
Okay.
Kinsta is a WordPress host. Um, anyway, it's a web hosting website, and I'm quite interested in hosts because I used to work with Cloudways for
Yeah.
years, and I've done UX work for them, and I am also currently working with a few hosts, so I'm really interested in them. But also, Kinsta once sponsored my conference, so I have a soft spot for them. So even though I've never actually used it, and I think the topic of branding I find really, really interesting. So that's what we are going to talk about first,
Great.
and then we're going to touch on various facets of branding and rebranding, then including colors, because I have a talk that I think I retitled as "Nobody Cares About Your Brand Colors." What do I mean by this? And is it true? So we'll discuss that. And the UX of onboarding, if there's time, and at least one deceptive design example, because that's
Oh,
always a
nice.
recurring theme and we
Always
like it.
love
Yes.
love to hate those. Uh,
Love to hate those. So I think that we should start from Kinsta, shouldn't we?
okay,
Let's
okay.
do
Do
it.
you want me to share your screen? Have we reached that juncture?
Just a second. Let me just check. Where is it gone?
Where
Oh,
has
here it is. Here it is.
there it is.
Yes.
Okay,
Please go ahead.
right. There it is.
Here it
Okay.
is. Do you recognize it? So it's the wonderful Wayback Machine. I actually remember. So this is what the Kinsta website looks like, or in August 2023.
Oh, I
Now,
love this. I love that you're showing the Wayback Machine. This is great.
of course.
Yeah.
And actually, this is not the way I remembered it, because just by chance in August, more or less, maybe September, I was doing a project with a client. It was a redesign, and I asked them to give me examples of websites that they liked. And Kinsta was one of them. And this is what it looked like at the time. And I was really surprised. It was like, I don't remember it like this. I don't know what you like exactly. I don't find this particularly helpful, because what is it that you like? There's not much to this homepage in visual terms. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
not like a
yeah, yeah.
brand.
It's fairly straightforward, isn't it? Yep,
It's
I
like,
agree.
okay, so what do you mean that you like? Do you like the screenshots? What do you like? So we now know that they were probably in the process of rebranding, so that's why it looks sort of fairly simple. Now, the interesting thing is this typeface is called Brandon Text. For years and years and years, I used Brandon Grotesque, which is a version that is of Brandon, which I think this is a really lovely font. I really like it.
It is nice.
But
I like it too. Yeah.
very nice. It was at some point, the world was oversaturated, but I
Uh
stuck
huh.
to it
Uh huh.
until I recently rebranded
Oh,
with an accessible typeface, because the problem, even if Brandon Sans was made for the web, so as you can see, like a tiny typography digression, but typography is an essential part of branding, so it's not actually a digression. So as you can see, this actually be really nice to find a word with a title with an X. There you go, expert support. So when you look at a typeface, one of the first elements to consider is the so-called X height. The X height is the height of the letter X, just like it says on the tin.
why
And it's a
that one?
very
Why have all the letters? Is it just because it's so uniform and it's
it's
just
uniform, and it's because it doesn't go, it fills the baseline,
right? Okay,
the
okay.
height.
It
That's
reaches the
the
bottom
height of
and
the
the top
character.
and the
Because even
corners. Yeah.
exactly, because if you look at the P has a descender, but it
Yep.
also is rounded, and sometimes the rounded bit will go above the X height,
Got it.
like just by a fraction, by a hairline. So that's why you look at the X height, and you always want typefaces that have a decent X height, where the X height is not too low, because when the X height is low, that means that the descenders, just one example, the descenders may be too long, and they then if you have the descenders are too long, they might uh, bump into the ascenders, which is so a P as a descender, a T as an ascender. Do you
Yep.
see what
Yep.
I mean? And
Makes
a
sense. Yep.
D will have, D for delta will have an ascender. So the version of Brandon that I had with Adobe is Brandon Grotesque, which wasn't optimized for the web. So it has very long descenders and ascenders. And it looked sweet, cool, whatever, but not good for accessibility and for a number of other reasons. One of the things that I look at for an accessible typeface is, for instance, whether the L is different from the capital I,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah. That's
it
quite
just
often the
isn't.
case, isn't it? Very confusing. Yeah.
So many typefaces that call themselves accessible, in fact, just have a stick for an L, and that's not accessible. So and Brandon. So here they're using two different typefaces. They're using Brandon Text for the headlines, and this looks like it's not Lato, but Open Sans, no, maybe not Open Sans. Anyway, one of those
Yeah, yeah.
Google fonts. And this is way too thin, by the way. I can barely see it, but we'll get into that in a bit. And also, this is not stopping, and it's making me sick, so I'm gonna move. Anyway, I explained the axe height. So, I was fond. So this is. I'm just gonna go back because I remember the way I remembered the brand was was we'll get there because I think the next one is definitely that one.
Oh, I see.
Where
You're
the
moving forward in time on the Wayback Machine,
Yeah.
hoping for
Don't
it
you
to, like.
love the Wayback Machine?
Oh, it's fabulous. I mean, I don't
Yes,
visit
let
it
me
very often, but
just
when I do, I'm always impressed at how amazing a project it is.
it's
It's
incredible,
yeah, it's
it's so
so
good.
helpful. There
So
you
there you go.
go. That's what
This
I'm used
is
to.
how I remembered it. So I remember the blue being the brand color. I mean, there's a very, very subtle gradient. I remembered this kind of layout, which, as you know, I much prefer. It's way clearer. You got your headline, you got your paragraph that explains things, and then you've got your calls to action. But I this is like so pointless. Everybody, I've been recommending to so many clients to just stop using these type of illustrations because they are sort of pointless. They're everybody has them. What does it mean? It serves no purpose really.
Yeah.
Well, what's the point? What are they doing? I mean, it feels, what are they doing? They're doing weird stuff anyway.
Yeah, they're
And it's
staring
pure
through
that
telescopes and things. It is kinda weird when you
I know.
say it like that, yeah.
So it's just decoration, but it's mostly pointless. But what it does, so it's innocuous if you want on one side. On the other side, it just makes you look like everybody else, and therefore, as a brand, you're not memorable. Anyway, this was my memory of Kinsta because I feel like what we just saw earlier was even less memorable. At least I did remember this. And now let's go to where we are now, shall we?
Okay,
We
fast forward
unveil.
to
Let's
right now.
unveil. Okay, I'm going
Man
to
alive, that is a change.
Man alive, that is a chain. Now, I was very privileged to be at State of the Word because it was held in Madrid, which is hop and a
Oh,
skip from where I am in
wow,
Valencia, and it was
great.
great to be there. And I think that this site had just been launched, so I was cornered by a few people. One of them was Remkes and Milan. And sorry, I know it's like there is only one Remkes, isn't there? And not that
Remkes
many
de
Milans.
Vries, I'm sure you're
Remkes de
speaking.
Vries,
Yeah.
yes. And we had this conversation about Kinsta. And the thing that we all agreed on was the lava lamp effect, which I think you mentioned
Yeah,
on Monday when you
that's what it
so
made me think of, like, straight away. Isn't that
it's
weird?
us 70s children, I was a child in the 70s, and this was that's the color scheme. It's brown and red, is a typical 70s color scheme. So it triggers something nice in me. I like it. It
I
makes me
used
think
to
of
stare
my
at lava lamps for days on
childhood,
end.
days on end, days on end. And also it makes me think of velvet sofa. My aunt had a brown velvet sofa that she then gave me. It was the first sofa I had in my life as an adult in my own house. Actually, it was
Yeah,
a big
okay, yeah.
dilapidated country house, and an orange lamp. You know those ones.
Yes, yes.
Um, so that's the feel. And Babs Soul, who's here watching. Babs, do you know exactly what I'm talking about? Because you're vintage queen. Babs sells vintage 70s stuff and soft what's it called? Soft furnishing,
Furnishings?
things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So yes, so she knows exactly what we're talking about.
Can I tell you
That's
what it
my
reminds
first
me of?
impression.
Apart from lava lamps, it reminds me of wallpaper from the '60s,
Wallpaper.
but
Yeah,
also lampshades, not lava lamps, but, like, this is the sort of thing I saw on lampshades. You can imagine
yeah.
this next to products made of Bakelite,
It's
and
definitely that was on the mood boards. It has to be. I could find exactly what I'm talking. Yes, Patricia is saying, "Hi, Patricia. Our walls were like that in the 70s," and
right.
Babs is saying, "Absolutely, I would buy that fabric." And we're all like, "Totally, that's the feel." So now as I always say, whenever, I mean, so this is completely unsolicited feedback. Kinsta are not asking for our opinion, first of all. In the second place, because I've been a designer for various decades now, I know that what goes in the process is that there are so many people feeding in, so many people that so many ways that this needs to make people happy, and so many things we're not aware of, so many targets, so many things. So it's not really a judgment, but it's a always an incredibly interesting conversation, because when I say nobody cares about your brand colors, I'll reveal that what I mean is that everybody experiences color differently, depending on
Okay.
so
Yep.
many physiological factors, cultural factors, historical factors, geographical factors. But the physiological factors are, it's a very, very strong factor. So that's what I mean when I say nobody cares for your brand colors, because a color that, so these colors mean these things to us. But if you ask someone in China, they may have a completely different interpretation. So that's what I mean. And I say then
Got it.
also because physiologically people see them differently, or so there may be someone who is daltonic doesn't even see that as red. Really interestingly, when I was at work in Finland where I gave the talk Nobody Cares About Your Brand Color, I then had a a day, the day after we had a day out. We were doing different things around the town, and at some point I found myself walking in the woods, because in Finland you're never that far from a wood, even if you're in a city. So in London, you're never more than 2 meters away from a rat. In Finland, you're never more than 2 meters away from a forest. So Nestor from Patchstack and I went for a lovely walk, because he was also a speaker there. Nestor is also my neighbor. We live on the same street, and we
Nice.
were, I don't know. So anyway, we were in the forest, and that's where I was like, "Oh, look at those berries! They're so red." And he's like, yeah, no, can't see them. Makes no difference to me at all whatsoever, because he's daltonic. So to
Huh.
him, this is an even brown. He's just, that's what he sees. He
What?
just not an even brown. He will see that red
There'll be
as kind
some
of
difference, but not as
as
startling
as
as because I'm
a
seeing it
lighter
as a
brown.
real like that red is pretty full on, you know.
To me, it's orange more than
Yeah,
red,
sorry.
but
Yeah, I
that's
think you're right. Orange. Yeah, you're right.
it's not right or wrong. That's what I say. Color is an opinion. That was my Work Camp Asia talk as well. Color is an opinion,
For me, it's
really.
going from the
Oh, look,
top left or the top
interesting.
right. It's red, fading slightly towards orange as you go further right. Are you
Yes,
seeing the
yes, but
fade?
to
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
anyway, the fact, you can call it red, is still fine.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
there's shades of interpretation. But to Nestor, because he's daltonic, this would be like lighter, muddier, or maybe either green or light brown. But Atif is saying something really interesting, which is that when he goes to the Kinster site, is very different to this. So I'm wondering where you are, Atif, because maybe they're targeting different. So this is what it looks like in Spain, and I'm guessing,
That
Nathan, that it
is, let
looks
me
the
go
same from
actually.
him.
I did look at it, but I'll just check that I'm still looking at that. Kinsta.com. Yeah, I'm seeing exactly what you're seeing, but with a lot
Yeah.
of animation as it loads.
So I don't know why. Oh, maybe I've got the lower animation setup, because animation makes me sick. So
Yeah,
I've
so
got that
what happens is
accessibility
when
with
you load
feature.
it, when you
I
load the
remember it
site,
being,
um,
yeah,
the yeah, there you go. That
yeah, but not okay. Yeah,
I
okay.
don't mean animation
But
in the sense of things like gyrating around, but just like there's a fade and a, you know,
yeah. Anyway, it's always interesting how geolocation works with branding. But anyway, this is what you and I are seeing at the moment. This
yeah,
is what we're showing. So as I was saying before I started on 1 million digressions, there are so many things that we don't know behind a rebrand. But what was fun was that, as I say, nobody cares about your brand color. There we were, as state of the word, with people like absolutely incensed by the brown and red and going, what were they thinking? And that really made me laugh, because it was like, Okay, so actually people do care about brand colors because it's not a personal affront, and yet, people were like, no, I'm slightly exaggerating, but the fact that a conversation of that kind existed makes you think, well, actually people do care, otherwise nobody would have commented. Now, what I found very, 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 very interesting, because I do work with tech and I've been working with SaaS recently in a number of capacities. So, okay, so at TIFF, actually, you see it. Okay, cool, good. No, no need to apologize. Um, is that I was saying I've been looking at a lot of tech sites and apps and SaaS with my professional eye on, and I have to say, please take over.
Okay. Whilst Piccia coughs, I'm gonna yeah. So what I so by the way, thank you, Atif. He says that you can actually see this, which is kind of interesting. So maybe you had something cached, maybe something like that. I don't really know. Do you know what I'm seeing? The thing that jumps out at me is the font, and the
Yeah,
font screams WordPress to me. Um, it's really, really, it may even be the same font. If you go to wordpress.org, you see that
it's not the same
part.
font, but I
It's not the
agree.
same, but I do wonder if they've picked something which is very, very similar to give that kind of look and feel. I
WordPress
don't
feel.
know. Yeah.
So, so two things are bold choices. One is the colors, because really you will see no other tech website using these colors. That's really bold. And I do tell my clients, please, can we not use tech blue? It's
Yes, blue
so
is always
boring.
blue.
Can we avoid that? Can
Yeah.
we avoid purple? Can we avoid any shade of blue? Because it's really so overused. You're not going to stand out at all. So that's a bold choice. And I applaud it. I approve of it. The typeface, I approve of it. Who cares? Nobody cares about my approval. I applaud it, though,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's a bold choice. It's the right choice. I don't know. I have no idea what research they did. I don't know. I have no idea. I have a feeling maybe they didn't. I don't know. Anyway, and then also the typeface is a bold choice, because even though WordPress does use that typeface, and they're using serifs more and more,
Yeah.
like, uh, still, it not very few tech sites will use a serif typeface. And I don't think there's any reason to not use it. And also there's this very weird, I've heard it say by a lot of people that sans serif typefaces are more accessible. That's not true, because I'll just say, but not assuming that everybody knows the difference. A serif
Oh, yeah.
typeface
Yeah. Please.
is a
Yeah.
typeface that has these embellishments at the tips, like for instance, this in the letter R. That's a serif because it's from the this little edge here on the left. That's a serif. And sans serif, which is what they use in their paragraphs, don't have those. They're
Yeah.
simple. They're much simpler. But in a way, so whenever people say that, they've read it somewhere, but there's no research proving that sans serifs are more accessible. In fact, there is research proving that serifs are more accessible because the letters are more differentiated.
Yeah.
It's more helpful in
Yeah.
that sense. So uh, I went for total accessibility on my website, and it's a serif that has some serifs. Anyway, without going too much
Okay.
into
We
it,
can look at that.
what I find problematic, I mean, this typeface is a low contrast typeface. When I say contrast, because contrast is not just color, contrast is also uh, thickness, for instance, it's
Hmm.
shapes. A low contrast typeface is a typeface where there's a big difference between, for instance, um, there are points in the typeface that are very thin and
Yeah.
other points that are
Yep.
much thicker.
Yep.
That's problematic because, for instance, one of my favorite serif typefaces that I used on my site for a long time was problematic in that sense because it had bits that were very, very thin. So this typeface in that sense is well balanced. As you can see, it's got quite a tall X height. These are tall letters. So that's good for legibility. However, um, I don't the way that they use the sans serif is this is way too thin. I can barely read it. There's like little to no. I can't see this type. I don't know. It, it's I find it difficult. I find this difficult to read. And then, in fact, if you so you know that I always look at actually, I look at a few things. I look at the call to action. What I found very interesting when you talked about it, Nathan, was the fact that you thought that really going back to WordPress now, which you had probably felt they weren't concentrating on so much before, but now they are. The best home for
Yeah.
modern WordPress sites. That's a very, very good heading, isn't it? I find it like it's just
You're not there's no
straight to the point.
confusion about what they're aiming at there, is there?
No
Not at
confusion.
all. And they did step away from that. They stopped using WordPress all over the site, and, now they're using it all over the site, so
Yeah. So clearly that's the audience that they have in mind. So if they've done any research, they will have done it with WordPress people, although you wouldn't have thought that as state of the word, honestly. So so this, for instance, I approve of this cookie notice because so often it's not done correctly. This is the way to do it. It has to be as easy to either accept or decline or choose your own settings. So well done for that. And I'm going to decline all marketing third party because that's the way to do it. Is it going to decline? Yeah, gone now. Now, also the call to action is really clear. Sign up. That's what they want you to do. Look how they're using the same language everywhere. They're like, we want you to
yeah.
sign up.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
really,
that's good.
so now I'm not going to go into the sign up process because that would take too long, and I want to talk about other things as well. But that's kind of what I'm into at the moment. I've done reviews of the audits that I sell. Uh, I have been doing them for a few hosts, and it's amazing what comes up. And in some cases, I'm not going to name names, but you do it, and you think, how are you a functioning business? I literally did it with 3 recently, and in 2 out of the 3 cases, I wasn't able to actually set up a server, and I'm quite good. I'm not I'm a designer, I'm not a developer, but I'm quite good with tech, and I really know hosting platforms. And I was left telling them, "I know you have a business. I'm not sure how though, because I've tried my best and I'm not able yet." So maybe next time, maybe another time we'll do that. Maybe we'll do a show on dashboard on onboarding,
Yeah,
which
okay.
I
That's a
think
good
might
idea.
I
Just
think it's a
to
really good idea.
because I know Piccia won't, I'm gonna plug for her. Piccia's auditing services can be acquired. If you like the
Thank you.
cut of Piccia's jib and you would like her to look at your property, whether that's a SaaS app or a website, and, you'd like her to go deep, much deeper than we do. We give it like a quick going over, don't we? A few minutes, but you give a full report and the full Monty. Piccianeri.com/audits. One more time, piccianeri.com forward slash
Bless you.
audits. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. And I have 3 levels of audits actually. So for all budgets, and the to be fair, the cheap ones can be life changing, even just so good for everyone. So what we've got here, so we've have some interesting
Yeah, we really do. This is
con
fascinating, and it really does show, like,
yeah,
that a design can change your business, can't it? Because
I
here
know.
we've got David Bell. He said, "If I were
I
hosting with Kinsta, I would move from them immediately after
Yeah, it is
seeing the
harsh.
site."
It's
Mm.
harsh, but at the same time, that's what David feels. He's got it right. He feels like this. He can then mute it by saying, "Okay, maybe I can try and see the good side to it." But that's how David feels. So if you want to expand David on why you feel like that, that would be really, really
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, that'd be really
So,
interesting.
I mean, to be honest, I was flummoxed to say the least because we're not used to this for a hosting site. But then I thought, okay, I don't want my judgment to be sort of clouded by the fact that I'm not used to it. That is a good thing, but I still get the velvety feeling. I can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you know what? The other thing that I do immediately. So I feel like this in terms of messaging is perfect. You know, I don't like centered. I see here a spaceship, a flying saucer. That's what I see. I can't
Okay.
stand
Yeah,
centered,
yeah,
but
yeah. I'm with
there
you.
you
I've
go.
got it.
So but their messaging is on point, and what they've got here is the dashboard, but the accessibility is really low. And I use this tool that sees a fraction of the actual issues. Like, for instance, you wouldn't see this is so tiny. I can't even see it. I just can't see it. 15 contrast errors. Really? I mean, contrast is basic, is so easy to get the contrast right. And consider that actually contrast errors don't even, for instance, they don't consider the fact that, for me, this is way too small and too thin, and we're not even seeing that. And also here, if we go back to the top, this image here has no proper alt text. I mean, it has alt text because I checked it earlier, and it just says that Kinsta dashboard. If I'm not if I use a screen reader and I want to sign out with Kingston, it's like, well, what does it mean? This is a good dashboard. I love it. It looks great. It looks really easy to navigate, and it has things that I may be interested in: visits, CDN use, bench with resource usage. Really useful. So why are you shutting people out? Just tell them. Accessibility is gonna very few people. Nobody will be able to ignore it, whether you feel for it or not, because in 2025, I think, if not 2024, the European Accessibility Act is going to come out, and it's going to be quite harsh. So, but really, you've got the resources. Please, can we just Mm, make it accessible? It should be basic. And the thing is that perfect accessibility doesn't exist for sure, but the basics like contrast and alt text on images, it would be nice. That's all I'm saying. That's absolutely all I'm saying. And here, everything under one roof in terms of messaging, WordPress hosting, static site hosting. So it's not just WordPress, interestingly.
Yeah,
Web
they've
apps.
not they've it's
So
not entirely but
here,
yeah, yeah.
so here they're moving slightly and ooh, okay, so it looks like they're targeting WordPress, but then they're letting us know here that they don't just do WordPress, do they?
Yeah,
So,
that was the way the messaging moved. They moved to more "we do everything," and now I think the messaging is back to
yeah,
"we do WordPress, but we also do other stuff." Mm.
yeah. So these symbols here, I don't I don't really see the point. I mean, they just use different patterns, but whatever, okay. I think that I don't know. I've tried to I don't know. I would need to actually test it out. Give it the toolkit. You take it away. Try for free. I wonder what the difference is between sign up and try for free. That's okay. So David's responded. Scrolling down the bullet points don't even seem to be about hosting and the font. Yeah, I like a sans serif for it. Well, incorrect, David. You don't like it, but it's not like it's correct or incorrect, because also for headings, I think it's all right, but the color is so heavy. Yeah, I agree with that. It's the contrast is very, very high, or either very low, or very high. But anyway, um, yeah, I'm still flummoxed by the lava lamp effect. And I so it's but the thing is that what's the connection with UX? The icons for the info boxes are way off. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I don't really understand them. Why is branding essential to UX? Because it's really proven that the way we perceive an interface is it, visually is it absolutely crucial to the way we experience the brand as a whole. I mean, going from research, for instance, there's a famous bit of research where they had there were two ATMs, like cash points to get money out.
Yeah.
One was ugly, so to speak, and the other one was prettified. It was nicer to look at. It
Oh,
looked
really?
nice.
That's interesting.
And I think I can't remember the percentages exactly, but like the overwhelming majority, like 90% of people using the perfectly equally functioning ATMs said that the ugly one was more difficult to use. It's a fact. There's so much research that proves that. So
Wow.
there's that, but also why? Um, it's because so Atif is saying the same thing I was saying earlier, that he gives kudos to Kingston for making a bold statement and trying to stand apart. Absolutely. That's what I said at the beginning, and I completely agree. But at the same time, I still see velvet and lamps. So, it's I don't know. And then the point is it how easy is it to set up? That's what really matters. But here we are. We've had someone say, I would move away. So that's branding does matter, and people do care about your brand colors, as it turns out. Even though I'm still going to argue that nobody cares as much as you do. But anyway, in a completely different context. Um, so UX, and basically, I did a talk once, which is now there's a uh, post on my website. And for instance, I just want to show people. I mean, do you know what this logo is?
Ooh, no. I mean, I can. Do you mean what it looks like Isaac Newton or something under a
It
apple
is
tree?
Isaac Newton, but do you know what this logo? What? Which company this was the
Oh
logo
no,
for?
no, I've never no connection in my head at all. No.
No connection. You couldn't possibly imagine, could you?
Nope.
I'm waiting because there's a lag. There's a few seconds lag
Oh, I see.
with the YouTube. I'm just waiting if anybody comes up with an answer for this, because it's gonna blow you away when I tell you that this is the Apple logo. Until
What?
1976, this was the Apple logo.
There you go.
I
Check
think
it out.
1976. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Apple becoming what it has become with this logo? It's unthinkable, isn't it? So this was it, Apple Computer. Can you
Oh, I
imagine?
see. You took away the Apple computer bit. I get it.
So can you
Yeah.
imagine that logo?
That's
So
great. No, I
yeah,
can't.
so that's the point I'm making. But so branding also, because when you do brand research, you're doing UX research. You're asking pretty much the same questions. You're creating your brand personality, but it's very much based on the people that you are serving. So it's the good design is good branding is good everything. So that's why I'm just gonna stick, if you want to share the link to that article. Actually, I can put it in the live chat, can I? No, I can't. Private chat. I'm going to put it here. Okay. So you can argue that actually branding and UX are pretty much part. Good UX is good branding, is good design, is good everything, honestly. So and people get super attached to brands. They have a huge emotional attachment. People get riled up. We've seen it here in the comments. It is what happens. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm gonna we're taking a long time chatting about this, but I don't know if you remember the Gap rebrand.
No.
The Gap rebrand was a huge deal. So what happened with the Gap rebrand was that, see here, this Medium article says, Gap was facing a decline in sales in aftermath of the 2008 financial crash, and they believe the answer to their woes was rebranding. Time to change that logo. Honestly, I can't tell you how many clients I say I used to I still do branding sometimes, but I've done so many logos and stuff, and often I just say just write your name in a nice font. It's not the thing that you should spend your money on. The logo is important, but not as much as you think. So that was the original logo, and that's what they went to. The one on the sorry, I should be clarify. So on the left, we've got the original Gap logo, and on the right, the new one. The original Gap logo, if anyone's listening to this rather than watching, was a dark blue square with the words Gap in capital letters in a serif typeface. The new logo was Gap in Helvetica, in um, bold against a white background with a blue square with a blue gradient on the behind the letter P. It was an absolute disaster. Like this, I remember it so well because at the time I was in London. They actually did it on all the shops. I mean, the
Wow.
amount of money, not just the amount of money that went into the rebrand, because when you do a rebrand for something like this, you have to imagine that everything needs to be rebranding, all the internal comms, the website, everything, the clothes labels, everything, besides the signs on shops the world over. They had to go back. The backlash was so big that they had to go back. And the
Wow.
thing is, what I think is like, did you research it? That's why also it's UX, because UX starts with research. Excuse me.
That's extraordinary, though, isn't it? What a lot of money and wasted effort. And really, they were kind of looking for a problem to solve, weren't they? The idea that the logo was the problem. By the way, Piccia, can you do me a favor? Can you just click on settings in the app, then click on audio and toggle on echo cancellation because I can hear my voice.
It's already on.
Oh, if
I
maybe
am
it's picked the
sorry.
wrong mic or something, but it seems to
No,
be
no,
better
it's got
now.
the right mic.
No, I think we're fine now. I think it's because I wasn't talking so much; it had sort of dropped off. The more I've
Sorry.
discovered that no, it's fine. The more I talk, the more able it is to work out that that's me. So yeah,
Yeah. So, sorry, no, a sip of water. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me.
It's all right. Um, Patricia, I'll just drop
Oh,
that comment in. Why not? Whilst you have your
yeah.
sip of water, she says, on a personal level, I'm not sure I have emotional strings with logos and colours. I might buy even if I don't like, and buy even if I like. Branding that works with me is more about the message. So
Yeah.
sort of making
It's a
the
good
logo
point.
less important. And then,
Um,
and then
yeah, David has clarified.
David's
Yeah.
clarifying what he
Thank
meant by
you.
incorrect, not
Thank
my
you. Thank
preference.
you.
Yeah.
I loved his comment. Normally I'm a big fan of label lamps, just not on hosting websites.
Yeah, that's, yeah. Okay.
So anyway, um, huge amount of money. But the thing is, why they should have really, instead of spending so much money on a branding agency, spend the money on user research. They clearly didn't do it. And I tell you who else didn't do it was ConvertKit. Actually, yeah. ConvertKit, so many of us know ConvertKit.
Yeah.
They are a very successful example of a SaaS. They do email marketing. At some point, they were like considered the best in the business. And what they did at some point, they decided to rename. It's not clear to me why, because it's like the effort that goes into an exercise like that. Are you sure it's going to be of advantage? And this article here by Nathan Barry, who's the founder, good name as we know,
Oh, yes. We love a
and they've
Nathan.
always worked in public. I mean, they're a really good company. They've done so well. So he says this is a story, the boldest move and the hard lessons I've learned. So I won't read all of it, but basically he explains that at some point they decided to rebrand, and they was always built in public, and they're a very democratic company, and all decisions were taken collectively and so on. And they decided, but when he explains how they decided to rebrand and why, they went for this name that was called Seva. And basically, Seva is a Sanskrit concept that is about helping others. I'll make it super short. And they had learned about it because someone was using it they heard about it on their retreat and whatever. And they were like, oh, great. They did a little research on why it would represent them because they're there to be of service and so on. Did they ask anybody in India whether that was all right?
Hmm.
Did they do that? No, they didn't do that. They didn't do actually, when you read the article, you realize that really there was no real user research done on that. They did some other research, but not that. So again, huge exercise. And I saw this happen live, the way I did the gap thing, and it was like, oh, give me the popcorn. And someone got really upset. Really upset. I mean, this is the article that I remember the most, but it was all over. It was all over Twitter, all over everywhere, all over the web. ConvertKit ConvertKit is changing the name to Sever, and they're ripping off my culture. And then here came the explanation and all the other. So I'm kind of pissed. Actually, that's a lie. I am livid. That's how it starts. And then this person goes and explains why. What does it mean in Sikh? For Sikh religion, I was living with a Sikh at the time. So he was like, ah, explaining all this and how the culture has been appropriated in other ways, and the turban is a sacred symbol and it's turned into a prop, and so that it was overwhelming. So ConvertKit, what they did the right thing. They're good people. They did the right thing. They were like, right, our mistake. This is really embarrassing. We absolutely did do cultural appropriation. We should not have done that. So kudos to them. They totally went back, and they went back to ConvertKit. So they used, this is a new logo. This is a new logo, but they went back to ConvertKit and they were like, we listened, we learned, we're sorry for our mistake. I mean, this is an apology, by the way.
Nice.
It was a good apology, and they explained how it happened. And I still, but again, I use these examples to say, spend your money in UX research. It's incredible to me that I still have to convince people. It's like, honestly, I mean, and these are two examples that relate strictly to branding because that's what I wanted to talk about today. But that's is definitely one of the things that I look at in my branding. I look at the messaging a lot. Uh, like it's the first thing. Are you communicating who you are? But the messaging, as Patricia was saying, is an essential part of branding and is way
Mm.
more important than your colors and your logo. Really is so much more important. That's what branding is. So that's also when I say nobody cares about your brand colors. They do, but they care more about your messaging,
Mm.
I think. So that's a really egregious example. And then I'm just going to touch really quickly on the latest one. We want Twitter back. I mean, that one, that one is just such a complete dumpster fire. It's a total train wreck because it hasn't actually even happened. If we open Twitter, it's still, if you, it's x.com and it goes to Twitter anyway, and everything is still got called Twitter. It's never even been done. It's almost, people got super upset about it because also it made no sense. It's just the deranged act of a, you know,
Of a billionaire.
lunatic, of a billionaire who just likes X, and it was, what he wanted as a child. He wanted X.com and now he has it. Okay, fine. But what's new? The understanding of Twitter rebrand. What's new and why it matters. I haven't actually uh, read all of this because I mean I've read a lot about it and it just makes absolutely no sense. The I don't know if you follow the whole when he put the X sign on the Twitter.
And they asked him to remove it, didn't they?
Us, it was completely illegal. He put a huge X sign. There was also, he thinks he's Batman. That's what's happening. He thinks he's
Yeah, what, to illuminate the night in San
and
Francisco.
also he was he had like the Axe had laser lights that were completely against any regulation and keeping people awake in the opposite building, the building opposite, and he'd put it up without asking for any permissions because rules don't apply to him. Who does that remind you of? We're not going to go into it, but I want to ask you whether that reminds you of anyone that rules don't apply to. Just say yes or no.
Me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. You just don't, we don't have to talk about it. If you know, you know. So that's it. That's kind of my whole spiel on branding. I'm sort of tongue in cheek when I say nobody cares about your brand colors, but only to a point because we've had a few people on. I'm just going to go back to the Kinsta site here. And this is what it was. What's this? Oh, yeah. I had a look. So here's what it used to be more memorably, and here's what it is now. It's absolutely radical. And another thing that I did want to say, I'm glad I just reminded myself, is that usually with an established brand, which is what Kinsta is, you want to maintain a certain amount of brand recognition. You're striving for that because, yeah, David, I think we all agree. X is the worst rebranding ever in this life. Pointless. Did a 3-year-old do it? Yeah, I think so. So, but anyway, the brand recognition is essential because you will upset people. If not for the reason that you will upset people if you don't somehow create a connection with the previously existing brand. So that's what really surprised me. Beyond any judgment of Kinsta, which I really don't want to make, and I hope it works for them, but I uh, am really wondering what made them decide to completely abandon the existing branding. That's what is of real interest to me. I believe that they must have had a very good reason because I'm sure they're super, very good at what they do, and they must have had a reason. Now, the other thing that I want to say is that I had a look at the agency that did their branding. It's Verve, and look at that. They've got the thing that I can't stand, which is the
The no volunteering,
autoplay
no opting
video.
in video. You've just been.
No opt-in in video, and look what I have to do. If I want to stop it, which I have to because it makes me sick, it says play showreel. That's a lie. I have to click this so that it gets the commands out and I can stop it. So it's the opposite. And
Huh.
so what I've seen is that these are, and also all of these gifts that I can't stop, they make me sick. It's so inaccessible. But what the point is that you can see how this is an amazingly creative agency. Honestly, hats off to them. Look how gorgeous this credit card is. It's great. And so I see what they've done. They've gone for someone who's outside, who gives it a completely different slant from the usual tech website. I think that's exactly what I went for. I was hoping that someone from Kinsta would be here because I'd love to hear their take because I'm sure they had super good reasons and I really wish them all the best. But this is the typical creative agency that I don't know that are absolutely brilliant at what they do, but they haven't sort of really thought about accessibility yet or other things that I put first when I think about design for the web. So that's I found that really, really interesting. I mean, this site is gorgeous, glorious, really, but yeah, interesting.
You can find
Anyway,
that at
so Verve,
verveagency.com.
they're Dutch. They're from, and I mean, European Agency of the Year. Not surprising. So they create branding that wows at global scale. They definitely wows. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, the other thing I want to talk about is one of our other favorite topics, which is deceptive design patterns.
Okay,
Now,
here we go. Brace,
deceptive
buckle up.
design, buckle up. Now, I'm just going to show before we always do this in case people watch this for the first time. This is the deceptive patterns that used to be called, yeah, David, that site makes me seasick as well, the agency website. The deceptive patterns are used to be called dark patterns, and they are tricks used in websites and apps that make you do things that you didn't mean to do, like buying or signing up for something. And there are many ways in which these patterns can manifest themselves. Sometimes a pattern is an email flow, for instance, which is what I want to talk to you about today. So
Okay, I'm
I'm
waiting. I'm ready.
currently yeah, this one is particularly good. Um, I am really into AI. I'm not into it in the sense that I'd rather it didn't exist, but it does. So I've realized that if I want to survive and thrive, I need to own it and not be owned by it because yeah. So I am listening to people who say, this is how you make things faster and this is how you can use it to your advantage. So this guy was showing this. And so I want you to look at the title of this email. Want my full AI course for free. What do you think you're going to get when someone is saying, want my full AI course for free?
The full AI course for no money.
For no money, none money at all. If you were curious, then check this out. So breakdown of the course, and I was like, yeah, really interested because will want to. There's lots here that I'm interested in. So remember, we're not charging anything for this. It's free and only available here. Join AI Mastery Live for free. We're giving it away as a bribe to check out our software. Check out our software. So available here. We're closing it for good. in a few days. So this is I've already got the window open and I'll go to it now, but I opened it like maybe half an hour before coming on to this show. So
Okay.
it was still working even though it was supposed to close on Monday. So this is what you get. You get join out a funnel now and get access to the entire AI suite and AI Mastery Live for free. Yeah. Have
Mhm.
you heard? That's what. So I create the account. This is not my real. It's also another thing that gets my goat immediately. Why do you want my phone number? And it's a compulsory field. I am never going to give you my real phone number. And usually that riles me up so much that I'm off. I won't get anything out of you, even for free. I've stopped being so principled about it now because sometimes I'm just interested and I was like, okay, right, don't get on
I
your
would
high horse
suspect that
all the
almost
time.
nobody gives away their telephone number. There's just
Also,
too many tripwires there.
it's completely insane. Anyway, so next, get me inside, become a member. What is going on here?
Oh, for goodness sake, what?
And it's not 27 flipping dollars. It's this next screen says item AutoFunnel Pro. So it's not what I thought I was buying. I thought I was buying the full AI course for free. Not buying, getting
Yeah.
the full AI course for free. And here I am getting price for it says again for someone who's listening, uh there's a whole list, like the ridiculous list that says, $5,000 value for an item, which is ridiculous. But basically it's saying item AutoFunnel Pro plus AI suite and AI mastery. Where's my full AI course that I thought I was getting? And the price is $1,497.
It's an eye-watering amount of
Shocking.
money.
Eye-watering amount of money. When I mean, how many times do they use the word free? And here it's a bribe to check out the software. So I couldn't resist it. This was too much. So I wrote to them and said, you said it was free as a bribe to check out your software. You never said we have to buy it as a requirement for access. I'm a UX expert, and this is a wonderful textbook example of a deceptive pattern called bait and switch. Thank you for providing me with excellent content to illustrate it.
Did
That's
you get
bait and switch.
did you get a
All
reply?
the best. I did. Really long, but basically it's saying, our intention. So I apologize for any confusion regarding the offer. Seriously, how many times does the word free come in there? I mean, this poor woman was told, I assume it's a woman, it may not be Marissa son, um, that however, I understand that from your email that there may have been some confusion. See, really, you think?
Created
Regarding access
probably
access to
somewhat
our
deliberately by you.
6 weeks course. The course itself is a separate offering, and it is not included in the free content. So I won my full AI course for free. So what on earth are you offering? I mean, the confusion is total, and it's not mine, it's yours. And anyway, I truly appreciate your expertise in UX, and I understand your perspective on how this might have seemed. This is how not to apologize. We saw the ConvertKit's apology earlier. That was how to apologize. This is not how to apologize because might have seemed. Are you serious here? Are you joking? The last thing we want is for our communication to be perceived as deceptive. We strive for transparency and clarity in all our interactions. I am going to go back up here and say, if you were curious about this 6-week course breakdown, I didn't actually watch the AI class. It was at the wrong time. Check this out. Is a full breakdown. Remember, we're not.
Says
Remember, we're
join
not
for
charging
free.
anything for this.
It's
It's
not
free and only available here. Join AI Mastery Live for free. Giving it to. I mean, just in case anybody had missed this. So yeah, join
it even
AutoFunnel now
says
and
it
get
there for free at the
because
top
here it says
of the
join
form.
AutoFunnel. Join is join. It's not buy. It's join. Do you know what I mean?
The
So
thing about this which I find curious is that you really do like muddy the water and you spoil your brand's reputation. Your first interaction with this
terrible.
organization is you're never going to touch this with a barge pole again, are you? You got
Of course I'm not, but it's crazy because the content that he seems to have, I really was very, very, very interested in. But
yeah,
I'm interested in it. Also, you're asking me to get me inside, become a member, which is never it the message that you use here. It's just weird. Become a member of what? Suddenly I have to become a member of
yeah.
what? And you're not saying, uh, I don't know what I'm fundamentally, I don't know what I'm getting, and you're asking me to pay. I don't know whether I am actually, just to be fair to them, I did not join the call. So maybe if you were on the call, it makes it clearer. On the call, it's made clearer that you need to buy this. But still, I got
Maybe, but
the same
still.
email. Yeah, but I got this. They know I
Yeah,
wasn't on the call because
yeah.
they've got the means to the technology to know that I wasn't on the call. And I got this email. I got the same email as everyone else. So if you can segment it so that I got a different email because I wasn't, and then maybe I wouldn't get as absolutely shocked. But it's great because it gave us
Gave
10
us gave us
15 minutes of fun.
exactly.
It's great.
That's perfect.
And I'm
So,
just gonna answer to them. I'm just gonna say, watch if you wanna. I'm just gonna say, yeah, just watch this, and you'll know how I feel about this. And I was just like, no way. And obviously, they must, because if you follow this guy, and now he's everywhere. If I open Facebook, he's there. I'm still getting targeted so much. So clearly they've got money to burn on ads, which means obviously they're successful. And maybe it's even a really good product. Maybe it is. Am I going to spend that amount? If I had let's say, if I had that amount of money to spend on to burn on something that I haven't even tried and it doesn't say anywhere, does it say anywhere that I can get, there's no money back, refund and trial policy here, but it doesn't say, do you know what I mean? If I had that kind of money, I would not need to buy it. I'd be sorted already, I wouldn't be faffing about with AI for courses or whatever. But anyway, you know what I mean? It's like, can you imagine, like, same thing as buying a coffee? Yeah, then in that case, I don't need your funnels.
it's
Anyway,
yeah, no, that's good. It's good.
I
Good to hear
thought it
you
was a
getting
very, very good one.
good
I
to hear you
very
getting
much liked
riled
it.
about that. Just another quick plug before Piccia leaves us, for her auditing services. If you've enjoyed listening to Piccia chatting about what she's chatted about today, and you think, oh, I've got a project coming up that could be useful to get an expert opinion, especially a rebrand. Uh,
I can do that. So
yeah,
I don't, just to say, the audits is what I think is great, because even the smallest one, like I said, is super beneficial, and it's often an excellent starting point for any project. In fact, when I do a project, a rebuild or a rebrand or whatever, it has to start with an audit. But I don't just do audits. I'm also a designer. I also do a lot of that. Just to clarify. Sorry to
yeah, thank
interrupt.
you. No, that's good. But the audit portion, go to piccianeri.com, explore around there, and then when you've done that, add /audits if you're interested in the audit. So piccianeri.com /audits. That's it. We've done it for this month. Get back hopefully at some point in February.
We do.
Don't know the
It's
date
booked.
yet, but we'll try and figure that out once the
We do.
call has
It's
ended.
booked. We didn't we
Oh yeah,
book
we
it
did.
in
Yeah,
one
no, we do
share?
have it in the calendar. I just don't remember 12 dates like that. I can't remember what I'm doing in
Me
about
neither.
half an hour, let alone.
I thought we're gonna do this yesterday. So yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go. But that's it. That's all we got time for this week. I appreciate it. Really enjoyed chatting to you again, Peacher. I think are you putting these on your website now? I can't remember what you
I'm
said.
going to, yes,
You're
I'm
going to
gonna
start
do
putting them on
that.
your website. So you can find them all at piccianeri.com /who knows. At some point, we'll put those in the post. Thank you to everybody who made the comments. There was quite a few today. I appreciate all of that. That makes the show so much more interesting and enlivening. But for now, I'll say bye-bye, and we will see you, Peacher, next month. Take it easy.
Thank
Bye.
you so much. Thank you, Nathan. Bye.
Welcome.
Thank you, everyone.